Hello everyone, this is Rob, and welcome back to Media Awareness. I hope you're all doing well out there. In this particular episode, I'm going to be covering an album and a band that really knocked me out the first time I heard them. Um, the band called Shoes. They're an American band hailing from Illinois, and they started out in the 1970s. A couple brothers and a high school friend, um, and when they decided to form the band, they evidently weren't accustomed to playing any instruments at all. So they took a year off, learned their trade, came back and did some demos, and finally released a debut album independently called Black Vinyl Shoes. Their independent label, incidentally, is also called Black Vinyl. Um, a little play on the format of vinyl records there. Um, but the album that caught my attention was an album called Present Tense. This album, from beginning to end, is a masterpiece. There is not one bad song on this album. It's been labeled, and they've been labeled as rock, power pop, um, and it's an interchangeable term, I suppose, for their style. Uh, their musical approach is very friendly to listen to. And it really surprised me that Shoes didn't become more popular and more uh, established as a band to look up to. They were signed to Elektra Records and released Present Tense in 1979. And this album, like I said, it had some amazing songs. Tomorrow Night is the a lead single, first song on the album, amazing. Too Late was another big number on the album, and just every song. I think there's 12 tracks on the original release, and it's just a phenomenal album. I was introduced to the Shoes by my dad. Um, Around the time that the Outfields Play Deep was released, around mid 80s, because he had said when hearing the single by the Outfield Your Love that reminded him of the Shoes Tomorrow Night. And I listened to the Shoes after that, and that's how I became a fan. He gave me his copy of Present Tense, and I don't know which album I listened to more, the Shoes Present Tense or the Outfields Play Deep. It's kind of funny to think back on that because even though the Shoes album had been released several years earlier in '79, it had a timeless quality about it. And that made the album very accessible to anyone at any given time. Production wise, it stood up very well. Lyrically, musically, vocally, they were an unmatched band. They patterned their style after '60s era, um, the early Beatles love songs, and a lot of those specific uh, stylistic sounds, Beach Boys, Pet Sounds, but they took it to another level, and they really were a good pop rock band. Are a good pop rock band. Um, there is a best of also available. I'm going to show that here. And when the band was on Elektra Records, they did 4 albums for Elektra, or 4 releases. Present Tense, Tongue Twister, Boomerang, and a limited edition live EP called Shoes on Ice. Um, and then they went back to being an independent band on their own label, Black Vinyl, and have been releasing material consistently on Black Vinyl. Uh, Present Tense, though, it's one of those albums that if you haven't heard it, you should check out. I was fortunate enough to find an actual vinyl copy of it, relatively brand new, at the Gallery of Sound, my local record store. And I have this album proudly displayed in my home. It's an amazing, amazing album. The CD that was issued, it came out, I believe, in the early 1990s, early to mid 1990s. And the CD featured both Present Tense back to back with Tongue Twister, its follow up album on Elektra. And they both were sandwiched very nicely onto one disc. In putting together this video, I did find that Present Tense, along with Tongue Twister, Boomerang, and assorted outtakes and alternate mixes of the Elektra material, was released as a box set. I'm going to put that image here. This is a multi-disc set, um, and I'm going to presume it's been all the material's been remastered from the original tapes. I'm not sure. It does say it contains quite a bit of material. Just a side note as well. I mentioned this earlier, but it surprises me that shoes were not more popular than they were. The reason I say this as well, not just because the music was so good or the presentation, but also because they were one of the first bands to really have heavy rotation on MTV when the format of music videos became the medium in the early 1980s. And the fact that they really didn't catch on surprises me because the music was really accessible. To be fair, though, Present Tense, in my opinion, although it's a timeless album, it's slightly ahead of its time. I compared it to the Outfields Play Deep, and how I discovered it via that connection that my dad had made as far as sound. And that being the case, you could be argued that the shoes were one step ahead along the way, maybe too much so, for their own good um, as a band trying to make it. They might have been too cutting edge for the time. Who knows? But the point is, if you want to get their Electric recordings. Check out the box set, and you will not be sorry. This is Rob with Media Awareness. If you like this video, give it a like, a comment about my cat meowing in the background, and feel free to shoot me a message on Facebook. That's the best way to reach me. Links will be in the description, along with a link to my Patreon page. Talk to y'all soon. Bye.